Good evening and welcome to yet another Trollspile talks about dressage and preparation for dressage until your ears are bleeding. Today we are going to show you the sort of last bit of stretching of the top line in preparation for impulsion and collection. And we'll show you with some different equipages, some different preparations we do in order to see and feel that the horse is ready for impulsion and ready for collection. It is unfortunately not as easy as pull up the rein and the horse will be collected, or tighten your abs and the horse will be collected, or squeeze your butt and the horse will... It's not that easy. There are prerequisites before you get as far, and we will look at some of those today.
Yeah, because all the things that you're saying there about the aids is of course good when the horse is sort of prepared for the whole thing.
Yep.
Prepared and ready for contact, impulsion, and straightness.
Yeah.
And collection. But most horses are not, they have some troubles in their body that is making sort of trouble for us when we want to do the collection thing that everyone wants. We want to go to that. Everyone said, yeah, what about collection? What about the hind legs?
We always want the hind legs, but it's like this in every athletic endeavor, or whether it's dancing or boxing or whatever it is. If you can know precisely how to, let's say, throw punches, how to be quick on your feet, understand precisely where to put your feet at what time, and then drive your hand like this and like that, and at the end you need to, all sorts of little things like that. But when Mike Tyson punches you in the teeth, all that goes straight out the window, because he's faster and stronger, because his body has been prepared. And the same thing goes with ballet. Even if I understand how you're supposed to jump up from the ground and spread your legs so they're like flat in the air, both of them,
Yes.
It's still not gonna look quite like the great ballet dancers when I try that.
So there are some things that you need to do. There's some things you need to do before that.
Yeah. There are preparations that need to go into it, and that is preparations for the rider and preparations for the horse, which we will show some of today.
So today we're going to show the horse.
Yeah.
And we hope that next time there will it won't be so slippery outside, so that we can show some real impulsion as well. But that needs to be seen.
Yeah, we need to talk to the gods of weather and see if they can please take back some of the ice that we have been struggling with over the last 6 years, 8 years. No, well, feels like that. 3 months, I suppose, is more or less correct.
And some of these clips that we're going to show today, it doesn't look like it's icy, but it is. So yeah.
Oh, we'll see. Yeah. The ground is frozen and all that sort of
Should
jazz.
we start with videos? Or
start a video first, or
pictures?
I actually want pictures first today. I want the nose to the ground picture of Mandarb. Right, so this is preparation for collection. And how on earth can this be preparation for collection? This is where you need to take lead.
Yes. It's this is a little difficult for me to explain, because for me I've been working with these things for such a long time, so it's sort of natural. So I'm like, yeah, but can't you see that this is gonna help the back?
I am literally allergic to the word natural.
Yes, I know.
Every time I ask someone can you sit like this, then they say, oh, it doesn't feel natural. No, you hired me to change what you feel is natural from what you used to do. to something new.
Yeah. So it's easy to think that this horse is on the forehand because he's sort of very low with his head, and but he isn't.
So then I will have to ask. How do you define on the forehand? Can you help me with that?
Oh, yeah, that is going to take a very long time. Can we take that afterwards?
Yeah, sure.
Or a little later, just in a couple of minutes.
Of course.
He is actually stretching his head down here quite voluntarily.
Absolutely
because
voluntarily.
You're just sitting
I think
there
he's even pulling the reins out even further.
Yes, you're sitting there grinning because he's really stretching so much that it's almost impossible to hold the reins because he's
I hadn't noticed my grin, but you're right. Yeah.
So, and that is because he really wants to stretch his back.
Yeah.
He's come to this, that he's realized that it's really nice to do this, because he has been very, very closed in his withers. So, and he's like been, when you saw him half a year ago, he was like much higher in the croup than in the withers.
Yeah.
So, and that is, of course, most horse people know that is not a good confirmation. But we knew that this is not because he was born like that. Or he might be born like that, but it's not a confirmation error. It's just the muscles.
It's not about the bones. It's about the muscles.
Yes. Yeah. So you've been working a lot with methods that we have described already in the former streams, to make him stretch his sides, his shoulders, his neck, his sides, in his body, and also a little like practicing bending his legs with some side lateral movement.
Very little.
Very little. Yeah, but. And
with
also
this
with
particular horse, very little.
And also with half holds, both unilateral and bilateral, like
Absolutely.
one side and both sides.
Yep.
And as we know, when you're doing the half holds, the giving of the reins forwards after you're trying to collect the horse a little, the giving of the reins forwards is the thing that makes the horse want to stretch.
Yep.
So you've been doing that a lot. And at one point in time, the horse suddenly realized that this is really nice.
Yeah, that's like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. So now he's been, every time you let go of the reins, he's like, whoops. And he's walking around like that, just like a dog.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean that he's doing that all the time. But this is because he really wants to lift his back and stretch.
Yeah.
And what's happening then is that when the back goes up, there is room for the horse to put his knee under his belly, so that the pelvis goes down where the tail is in the end of
the tail end.
In the tail end, the pelvis goes down, tilted like that, so that the whole bum of the horse, the whole hindquarters, is able to tilt under. And then the horse will bend his joints in his hind leg, the one that is at the ground now, when he puts weight on the leg. And he does that without the rider doing anything. You see that on the picture, that you're just sitting there, even with your legs away from the horse.
Yeah. I guess they're touching all the way down to where the calf becomes thinner.
Yeah. But it's like you're not doing anything actively to engage the hindquarters.
No. And if I do, he will increase his stride length or his speed, depending on how loose he is in that particular moment.
Yeah, because he's on his way to become over the back, so that he can take the impulsion. But if you engage him with his with your legs here, he might tense up again.
So the point of when he's down there, then his hamstring musculature can help push the hind end even further under as he's pushing off with that leg.
Yeah.
So he sort of, if his leg goes down here, it pushes this piece forward.
Yeah, That was a good illustration.
Whoop.
Yes.
And then it can...
Yeah. So when it comes to,
Worm
you said,
forward
why
again.
is this horse not on the forehand?
Mm-hmm.
Because, one, the neck and the head is always in front of the shoulder, even if it's up or down.
Yep.
Yeah. So the weight there is the same.
Yep.
And when we're talking about the weight distribution, we're talking about moving the weight, how should I say that? Sort of the weight of the horse is still the same. You don't change. You don't take any meat from the forehand and put it on the hindquarters. No.
Quickly?
You
Maybe?
don't do that.
That's not what you do, no.
But a lot of people think that there is something like when the horse is sitting in a levade.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, then you can see obviously that the horse is actually putting the weight on the hind legs. But when the horse is trotting or walking forwards, this is a dynamic thing. It's a dynamic movement, so that you, as we have said many times before, but it cannot be said too often, I think, the horse lifts the withers up for each step like this. Mm-hmm. And that is the way how the hindquarters is under like this, so that the back goes up in the front, and then you lift the withers a little up, and then when the horse lands on the front leg, there is a much longer way for the torso
to
the
be
chest
suspended in between.
to sink down softly between the shoulders. And that cannot happen if the horse does not stabilize and lift his back.
That is true. Yep.
So,
Oh.
yep.
A caveat. It can happen if the horse uses the pecs to slow down the same movement, but then the horse will be disjointed between front and back. Just we need to put a caveat in wherever we can find one, right?
Yeah.
All right. Can we have the other picture? I want to see the other picture now.
And the other picture is taken at the same. I took both pictures, and they're like a couple of minutes in between them.
Yep.
So it's the same horse, and now it's obvious that it's not on the forehand.
Weird.
I would say.
Yeah.
And
But you get the whole impression here is that the whole horse is sort of tilted towards the back, sort of a little bit.
Well, if you look at the hindquarters here, what I see first and foremost is that the hind cannon of the leg that is in the air is parallel to the forearm of the front leg, the diagonal front leg. That means that it's more or less over the back.
Yep.
Or at least it is a sign that it could be if other things are correct as well.
Of course. Yep.
But if you see the joints in the hind legs.
Yeah.
Both hind legs have very good angles in the hocks.
Yep.
And both both stifles knees are very much to the front.
Yep.
And that is because he has voluntarily put his pelvis under.
Yep.
And it stays there when you ride forwards in trot. And when you shorten the reins, then he will still keep his back up through the movement.
Yep.
And then it's easier for the horse to keep his pelvis under and do this with his hind legs.
Yep.
And then he will do this lifting also in trot.
Yep. So you can see that knee underneath thing. That's important here.
Yeah. So that is what a trainer we know calls it. The horse is close behind.
Closed behind, yes.
It's closed, so that the angle between the sort of the knee and the belly is sort of closed there.
Yep.
It isn't open when the hind legs sort of, there is sort of an open space under the crotch.
It's the same as happens to us when we are to sway back and stick our bums out a bit. That's the same thing. So if you do that, if this is my back, and that's forwards, and my butt sticks out like that, and then we flop me over like a horse, then my bum is in the air.
Yeah.
That's the same thing, right?
And also, what other things you can see here is that the horse has started to lift his tail and carry his tail more correctly, and also his neck is more correct than he was this summer when he was very much behind the vertical.
Absolutely.
And now he's a little in front of the vertical with his nose, and the poll is higher.
Yeah.
And also he's having this tiny line of foam in his mouth. That is a very good sign that he's sucking correctly on a bit.
On left rein too.
Yeah, and that is something that
I've struggled hard with that, so.
Yeah.
No, not struggled hard, but I've struggled long with it.
Because this horse has been very difficult with positioning to
the left.
Because he has been very much supporting himself on his left front leg.
Yep.
Okay,
right.
Shall we look at this horse in movement?
Yeah, sure.
I think that's you know which movie it is.
He does.
Because now we're going to look at how we, how you have been working with him.
Yeah, so this has been a lot of work over the last few months. I don't mean to say that this has been, what can I say? This isn't the hardest work we've done, obviously, but this is the bulk of the work. And it's important to understand, we're going to loop this and talk a lot about it, but I need to have this trainer's perspective on it. So whenever you train, you need to have a bulk of training. There needs to be a given amount of training in order to get progression. So if we want to strengthen ligaments and tendons and all that sort of stuff, we need to work quite a lot. If we want to increase maximum strength, we need to work extremely hard. But you can't work extremely hard a lot. That's impossible to do. At some point you will tap into resources that aren't there anymore. So I've been doing a lot of this, and part of it being a lot is that he needs to move a lot like this to strengthen ligaments and tendons, but he also needs to move a lot like this in order for him to be able to stretch his back enough to lift up. You can see that sometimes his hindquarters sort of drop off, especially in the downhill there, and it becomes a little bit more open behind. Now he's closer behind when he walks uphill. No, this isn't difficult to understand, obviously.
No, that is one of the reasons why it's very good for the horse to train in the terrain.
If everything works like this. So you can see here that sometimes he's slipping. That's because the ground is actually frozen.
And the top layer is a little slippery.
Yeah, a little.
So it's...
And then when everything is well with his movement, he doesn't slip. Of course, it happens that you slip on this sort of stuff anyway. But with perfect balance, you don't have to. So what I'm trying to do is just ease through my hips is the best expression I can find for it. I'm not trying to move hard forward through the hip or anything. I'm just allowing the horse to move and allowing him to stretch as much as he wants. And when he forgets and becomes stiff and wants to look up or out or anything like that, I will lead him slightly inside with the inside rein and drop him again.
So you just remind him that don't tense up there. Continue to relax.
Yeah.
And then he will stretch.
And this work is physically so easy to do at the moment that I feel like I should have been doing something more. That's the greatest impediment to my training like this, is that this can't be good. I must be allowed to work harder. But I must not.
No.
I must be allowed to work like this, because working hard isn't a problem mentally. But this is. Is there more you want to say about this?
Yes. When you see, when he's coming here, he's starting to become more rhythmic, and he's also relaxing here.
Oh, yeah.
And when he comes uphill, you can see that the sort of the head gets
The head is
loose.
like loose.
Yeah,
on
it's
the,
dangling
yeah.
on. Can you see that?
Yeah. And now
And that is when he's stretching all the way down.
So when now it's still stuck.
Yeah.
Still stuck.
And he's trying, and he's
to
opening
it.
his mouth, and he's
And
like,
then he
the
slips
jaw.
right here.
Yeah.
And head comes up and stuff, and he's a little bit stiff still, and now he's starting to release.
Yeah.
Then he shakes his head a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as he moves uphill, it
opens his
becomes
mouth.
and it becomes more and more loose in the neck and head all the way up that
And
hill.
now he's starting to loosen.
Yeah.
And it helps, of course, that it's a little uphill. But there you can see that the head starts to do this when he's
so
down there.
he doesn't become completely loose as long as it's uphill, because he has to push on a little bit too much probably in the uphill.
Yeah.
So when he comes to the top and balances out and it flattens out, then it becomes even more relaxed.
So
But downhill, everything is just...
Yeah. So what I look for is at the end is when the horse is doing that, I know that much is sort of that he relaxes also here in the first two joints in the back chain.
Yeah, and often also in the jaw. Is that correct?
Jaw. Yeah. Because we want to access the jaw with a bit, and we don't want to pull.
No.
We want to connect to the tongue. And then with the jaw and the jaw joint, the TMJ, because that is such a communication. It's a very important part of the communication, and also a part of the top line that needs to. And that is the reason why the horse starts to produce like foam in his mouth like that. In the good way, not the one where it's overproducing foam and the foam is dripping and the horse is opening his mouth and stuff. No, that is wrong. But this tiny little line along the lip is a very good sign.
Almost like lipstick.
Yes.
Yeah. Like that lipstick that everybody used to use over Easter in the mountains.
Yeah. But have you heard that some dressage riders are using artificial white lipstick so that they are trying to
you know what? I
fool
do
the
not
judges?
pay attention to that sort of stuff, so no, I haven't heard, and I still refuse to believe it.
And you can also see here that it's more rhythmic. It's it's more clear, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Really cool.
Yeah.
So, but very. This is just before he's ready for impulsion, and as we saw in the, we do not have a good video of trot in impulsion because you can see the ground. It's slippery already at the walk, so
he gets tense and it's difficult because he is not so stable in this yet.
No, I
And
can
we've
manage
got-
like 1/350th of a second or something like that.
And it doesn't make good video. But the next video is about something else. This is about working with the back and the neck and the jaw and stuff like that to make him stretch so that the hindquarters come under.
Yep.
But there is also another way to do it, and we can look at that in the next video.
Brilliant.
Because then this is a horse that has he's been he has a lot of problems and has been like a project horse.
Yep.
And you can see his back here. It's very sway back behind the withers, and also there is a sort of a valley in front of the withers.
Yeah.
So Ida is doing here is that she's working with, he really knows what she asks for, because he has done this many times, and he knows what he's supposed to do, and he thinks it's difficult.
So it can,
But yeah. So we will see a lot of that looks like protests, but that is because he thinks it's difficult, and he is allowed to do all this kicking and bucking and stuff.
Yep.
But this horse, he will run away if something is really
Literally
not
just
nice.
run away.
He is a very strong horse, and he will protest and run and jump over the fences because he's a very good jumping horse. So this is just like the one we saw that really wanted to stretch.
Mm-hmm.
He really wants to bend his hind legs, but he thinks it's difficult.
He finds it extremely difficult.
And he knows that it's very nice afterwards.
Yep.
Yeah.
But what we see here is what's different from the other horse is that if this guy is allowed to just stretch down, it doesn't solve the problem.
No.
He's not able to, by way of only stretching his head down, to lift his withers and lift his back. It doesn't come underneath. And you can see that several times. He stretches, but the back sort of stays exactly the same. So in desperate times, you need desperate measures. And we ask then for the horse to use the hind legs to help lift the back. And you will see sometimes that he sits down really deep. And when he sits down really deep, in those little moments, you can see that his back becomes correct.
Yes.
So he sort of has to tuck away his hind legs in order to get his butt underneath the back. So you can do this both ways. And the best is, of course, to be able to access both ends at the same time, obviously. But
then
sometimes
you're finished with the training.
probably, or the horse had no problem and you had no problem, and it was just fun all the way. But for all us other, humans, lethal people who aren't divine, we have to take it step by step.
Mm-hmm.
So she's still working on letting him stretch down, and at the same time sometimes asking for those hind legs. And when he does well, he's rewarded and he can relax and there's no stress. Now the back looks a little less
Tense?
aggressively tense.
Yes.
I'd say.
Aggressively tense.
Yeah. So what's going on inside there? Hard to tell.
Inside of the horse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inside the musculature I'm talking about.
And
So-
that is a good thing, that we don't need to know which muscles are having trouble.
You can see he put his butt underneath, and then she asked him to do it again nonetheless, even when he put his butt underneath. Because what he needs to do is not only tuck the butt under, but he needs to push off at that moment in order to stretch the back.
Yeah.
And this is precision work. Don't try this at home, kids. Or if you do, be careful. Don't stand there. And don't just try it. You need to prepare for this stuff. But all of you know this already, of course. I just have to say it, right?
But now you can see that the horse really wants to stretch.
Now he wants to stretch because something got looser by the kicking and bucking and all
And
that.
if you look at the hind legs now,
Yep.
from behind, you see they're wobbly.
Yep.
They're in all directions.
Yeah.
And this is in when he is moving like that all the time, it ends up in pain.
Yes. Or even it is pain already, and then he does this. This is the same thing that we do. Whenever you have a tweak in your back, you stop using your back at all. And then the doctor and the physical therapist, they will say, you need to start moving again. And even though in 1 out of 100 cases, that isn't the right thing to do because you have to change something first, movement is critical to be able to repair things that hurt. The hind legs already look better after one lap.
Yeah.
So he knows that this works. You can see it in his body language that he's trying to. It's kind of now he's stretching and trying to kind of crunch. There he blows his nose and trying to crunch his withers up. And as he's standing there, not too bad. This is obviously not perfect, but he's got a bend in his hind knees and his hocks, and it looks all right. And and now he says, "Nah, I don't need to go this way too." It was hard the other way, didn't you see, Mum? And now
you can see this back that is really swayed back, and that is impossible to carry with that back.
Yes, it's impossible to carry in movement with such a back. That's true.
And this shaking of the head is a good sign here.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to shake away stiffnesses.
Yeah. I go into just watching mode. I you can't even. This is what I do. There you go. That's one of the times when he really sits down and lifts his back up. Still shaking his head, so becoming looser and looser. And sometimes kicking out.
Say something about the kicking out.
It's been said that if a horse doesn't kick out, he is or will become stiff. You can. I don't know if all you guys can, but I can feel that sometimes I need to move really quickly in order to get loose. There's a. I feel like it fits together with another thing that you can do. For instance, if you jump onto a what do you call them? A balancing line. What do you call them?
A line? Slack line?
A slack line. And try to balance on the slack line. You will have to do something called co-contraction, which means that the musculature on all sides of a joint will have to contract at the same time to try and find stability, because there is nothing to support against on the slack line, right? So the co-contraction means that everything has to contract at the same time, and when you release again, quite often you will have released a lot of stuff. So it's a very fine way to actually, what do you call it, restitute? What do you call that? Is that what it's called? Restituere?
Yeah, I think so.
Whatever. That's a fine way to reclaim your movement patterns and get rid of things that hurt. And in the sort of as an it's sort of the same idea to just release your joint completely.
Yeah, just like.
So what you do is he kicks off really hard, and then he releases all the muscles after the joint has started moving, and then he lets it loose all the way. You do the same thing if we're going to go back to the boxing analogy again. Yeah. You don't push your punch all the way. You throw the punch is what they say, right? You throw it and then you just let it fly. And this is the same thing the horse does. And if he can't let it fly, it is because something is restricting him from actually releasing the
horses hate that restriction, to feel that. They don't want that to be there.
Yeah, everybody has seen that. When you take your horse out of the box in the morning and release him in the field, he'll go absolutely mental. If you haven't seen that, you haven't been around horses. So there's that.
And you see that Ida is just touching him with the whip. She's not whipping him. No. It's just showing him where to concentrate.
Yeah, it's a tapping sort of.
And you can also see that he's opening his mouth and trying to stretch his jaw. Yeah. And here you can really see that hole behind his withers, and that is often a very a common source.
This is where he's blowing out, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. It is painful for a horse to move with power if the back is like that.
Yep.
But sometimes here you can see that, and Ida is not pulling at his rein.
Not that I could see.
He's trying to stretch out stiff parts.
At the moment here, she's touching him underneath the chest with the back end of the stick to help him understand that it's actually possible to lift your back and chest up a little bit. And then if you can time that well, he will lift up, and then the hind leg comes under by itself, and then the horse will feel like, oh, that wasn't too bad. And then sometimes he'll say, nah, this isn't good. There we go.
Now he's
that
actually trying But he's trying it very much.
Yeah, that's very typical.
Yeah.
It's whenever I try to teach you some movement in the gym, you always say, "No, I can't do it with this little weight. You can only do it with the maximum weight." And I'm like, "No." But I know it's the same with me, so I'm aware. But
because you get that pull or push from the weight.
Yes.
So that forces you to do it.
And when you're learning new stuff, nuancing isn't a choice you have.
True.
So moving with precision under load is extremely difficult.
That is the reason why when you're working with a horse with trouble, you can't ask for precision or obedience. You need to ask him can you do this, and he will have to try, and then sometimes he's sort of spurting out in every direction, and sometimes they say I can't do it, and then you have to respect that. Even
Garnier says that suppleness and obedience go hand in hand.
Yeah. Because then the horse is able to be obedient. Yeah. Look at the back now. It's better.
It's way better.
Yeah. It hasn't got that sort of like it's almost like it's broken. Now it's a little worse again. Yeah. This is a horse that needs a long time.
He sits down, and now she asks him to push off, and he pushes off twice. And half of that energy goes to lift him up, and the other half goes to kick out.
Yes, because now she was actually asking him for a little impulsion.
Yep.
And that is very difficult when the back is like that.
Yep. So impulsion means when the hind legs are curled underneath, they push off.
Yes.
Push the pelvis underneath and lift the back forward. That's
and
impulsion.
When the back is like this, it can't do this.
No. Also, always when the back is really bent the wrong way like that, you will almost always see that as the hind leg takes the ground to carry load, it straightens.
Yeah.
And when it does, it will kick the pelvis more up, especially at speed.
Show that again.
Especially at speed. So if this is the horse's, this is difficult, horse's leg, this is the pelvis, so this is the back of the horse, and this is the leg. So if the horse has dropped its back like this, it almost always hits the ground with the leg when it's completely straight.
Yeah.
So it moves forward, hits the ground like that, and all the force from the horse keeps falling down through the back, not being supported by anything at all, and the back just falls. So what we're seeing here, can you bring up the nose down picture of that one? Yeah. You can see here that when this hind leg hits the ground, the knee is bent, the hock is bent just slightly, and the pelvis is underneath.
Yes.
And when the knee is bent like that, it allows the hind end to come underneath more. Right?
Just like that.
Yeah.
And we can see that on the trotting still picture as well. Can we see that? Yeah. There you can see very well that all the joints in the hind legs are bent.
Yep. Even the outside hind.
Yeah.
So in this picture, the outside hind leg is working really well and pushing off. I can even remember working on that. I think I even said something about it.
And you also said that now he was really good to sit on.
Yeah, it's strange how that works. It's as if there's a connection between those things. Right. So this has been a lot of preparation for collection and impulsion.
Yeah, so all these things about stretching and rhythm and relaxation and all that, those are important building blocks to get there. And everyone wants to get to this collection.
Also, everybody who's been watching these streams since the summer will have seen the same horse, this one, at the walk and trot, if I don't remember wrongly, from the summer, when his neck just looked like a round little thing that somebody had stuck on the front of a lump of a horse. And which means, of course, that I have worked like that sometimes, or a little bit in every lesson, or in almost every lesson. And I worked a lot on stretching. So it's like if you're one of the best skiers in the world, you'll work a lot on something that isn't a high speed to you, but you'll work 2 or 3 hours a day maybe at a low speed like that. And then you'll work some minutes, some days of the week at a very high intensity. And that's what we do with strength training too. A little bit of high intensity training and a lot of low intensity training.
So because there is no doubt that you are good at collecting horses, but it's difficult to collect the horse if the horse is not ready for it.
Yes, if your definition of collection is supposed to be correct, yes. If you need to have all these things, impulsion and suppleness and rhythm, and the horse needs to be loose and all those things, then it's really difficult.
Yeah.
If you can just skip over one or two of those items, it's
get
not,
them to sit down and
that's very easy. I did that the first time I sat on a horse, actually.
Yeah, you did actually.
That was not because I knew how to ride, obviously, but I did know how to cling on for dear life.
Yeah, and you're strong. Your body is strong.
Yes.
So it's not about pulling, but it's like, because the horse cannot.
At that
do
point,
this
it was
with-
about pulling. Now it's not.
Yeah. So, I don't think that we're going to spend a lot more time on this, even though we have plenty of time left until we have talked for an hour.
Yep. I feel
but
like we've not exhausted this, but I've
I'm
talked a lot about
interested. I'm interested to hear what you want to say.
I said, I don't think we have exhausted it,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know what to say next.
Because I was wondering if there are questions.
No questions yet. That's good. Then the explanation is either good or so bad that people have no idea what to ask for, which is also fine. So these two pictures sort of envelop all the training I've been doing with this horse that had hardly, if at all, been ridden when he came to us in
Summer.
July or something.
Midsummer.
It was really warm. I remember that.
Green and everything.
Yes, dusty even.
No ice.
No ice. That's what we remember around here these days. And he had hardly been ridden then, and we just started him really carefully, and now he can already produce this. Bear in mind though, this horse is extremely strong. He's exceptionally muscular, and he's like that. He came like that. He has not lost muscle while being here. Probably gained some, but not to the extent that you have to think that, oh, he has built a lot of muscle. Nah, he's become more supple. That's mostly what this guy has been.
That is what you've been working on.
Yeah. So with that in mind, a horse that isn't full of muscles might have to be trained slightly different.
Yep.
And as we saw with the brown horse that we watched the video of, sometimes you have to start with working the hind legs to do something. Sometimes you have to start with working the front end to do something. And the way to find out is to test both ends and the middle and see what happens. Even the best in the world, they don't know beforehand what to do. They have a good idea quite often and can make educated guesses, but you need to allow yourself to get some information first.
You
do
ask the
something.
horse.
Ask the horse. Do something. You ask the horse like this. Do you know? No. You ask the horse like this. Can you bend, or can you move, or can you stretch, or
Can you stop?
and when the horse says no, then you know that you hit gold.
Yeah.
There's something here that horse can't do. And I need to strangle a myth. Can I?
Yeah.
I'm going to get so much trouble for this. It isn't that your horse doesn't understand. There you go.
Yeah. Now you
That
need
was
to
all.
explain.
I just did. Okay.
on.
It is that he thinks it's difficult.
Mm.
Whatever it is you're asking, it's difficult. It can be mentally difficult. It can be physically difficult. All of that. But you have to first understand that if I take the hair in the forehead of the horse and does this, you don't have to be brilliant to understand that you're supposed to move your head with. It's easy.
Mm-hmm.
And most things we ask the horse is easy until you start having the horse balance underneath you, in which case you will be unable to formulate what you're trying to do in any time at all. You will have to just do with your body instead. Mm-hmm. So it isn't that he doesn't understand.
It is that he's unable to do it.
Yep. We're asked to keep going. There's something going on behind the scenes that we don't even know.
How
but,
exciting!
But we're trying to roll on.
Yeah, but
I can conjure up
Yeah.
a question if I'm allowed.
Yes?
Yeah, of course.
I see you walking your horse in a really loose rein, and some of us are. Should I start again, Eva?
Yeah, please.
You're walking your horse on a really loose rein,
Mhm.
and you look fairly relaxed, and he looks fairly relaxed, and some of us are terrified of letting go of control
All right.
like that.
Yeah.
Question.
Help.
I've got an open question for you. Can you solve the world's problems for me? Yes, I can, actually. First, what I do quite often, especially with the stallions, I will quite often ride the stallion exclusively in my arena. That's one. Two, quite often I will not allow the stallion to walk on a loose rein when I start up. Especially if there's like 8 mares in the same arena or stuff like that. Then I will take up the rein and ask the horse firmly but gently to stay within this frame. Mm-hmm. And then the horse will go, oh, but it's difficult. I feel stiff here and there. Yeah, I will allow you now to relax and stretch those areas of your body if you listen.
Yeah.
Because the stallion cannot be allowed to just run around and cover all the mares while I'm on the stallion and maybe someone's on the mare, you know. All those things are difficult. So, first, if you are terrified, you have to accept that you are terrified. And I have, this is a boon for all you out there who might be in some occasions terrified. I'm on your side. I understand what it is to be terrified. Once I did a clinic that was centered around a bunch of riders who wanted help with their fear in riding. And I brought one of the coronals that we use at the tip of the lances in the joust with the real lances. And it's like a steel spike, 3-pronged spike. And I said, this is what I fear. And I fear hurting someone with it as much as I fear... Wow.
Someone asked for a picture of how he was during summer.
Is this on now?
I think so.
This is...
Yeah. So this is the same horse in summer. I don't think he's quite as connected from behind. But
now he's on the forehead.
Yeah, but I'm going to continue this
Yep.
this thingy, this fear thing. So this coronal represents my fear. There is always something that can make you or me afraid. And you need to accept that this is fear. If you never accept it, you cannot conquer it. You must accept that it exists first. And when you do, you will first take all or any, by all or any means necessary, diminish the pressure that makes you afraid enough that you can actually start working on it. For many riders, that means get off the horse. Just right now, get off and do not get on until you feel accomplished. Or do not get on until you feel safe. Or do not get on until your horse is safe. Or do not get on until someone can help you so that you don't have to be as afraid in that moment. The only way to get rid of fear that is known to psychiatry as psychology, as far as I understand it, which isn't necessarily very far, but the way I've been told that works is that you have to voluntarily confront a level of the fear that you feel that you can actually accept.
Then become brave.
And what happens
Not
when
less
you
afraid.
start doing that little thing that is accepting your fear, and you do that little thing, and you do it voluntarily, you will become slightly braver every time you try. And then you have to understand that maybe you need to be this brave, and you create this much brave every day.
And also, when you're letting go of the reins,
Mm-hmm.
you don't let go of all the reins at once.
No.
This little thing that you said here, you let go this much.
Yeah.
And
So-
then if the horse runs, you say this again.
That I do.
And then you do that again.
Yep.
And if you do this quite constantly, or like, so the horse knows that
know
this
where
is
you
what
wanna go now.
what you're gonna do,
Mm-hmm.
then the horse will know that if I just relax now, I will get this rein.
Yep.
So the rein says thank you all the time.
Yep.
Every time the horse listens,
Mm.
you say thank you.
Yeah.
And then the horse will know that if I stretch a little now, it becomes better. And then the horse stretches this much.
Yeah.
And then you get this much braver.
Yeah.
Because the horse actually relaxes.
A
It's-
millimeter every day is
Yes.
36.5 centimeters over a year.
Yeah.
That's quite a lot.
But you need to
actually.
do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, there is one more thing, which is sort of the raisin in the
And the pudding.
pudding here is that when you manage to yield a little bit and the horse manages to lift his back and stretch a little bit, it will feel safer.
Yeah.
When you get the right thing going, it will feel safer. The movement will move in a predictable manner.
Mm-hmm.
The energy will move in a predictable manner. Of course, not after one try, because nobody gets really good at predicting after one try. But more than one try will create this. That's a very good question. Much deeper than we can actually finish now, but anyway.
Can we change a little between those,
Yeah.
the good and the bad picture intro? Is that possible?
Do you have an ugly one too?
The good, the bad, and the ugly?
I'm just, yeah. Nah, this and oh, God, yeah. Damn, I'm good. Sorry.
Yeah.
Do it again. Yeah.
That is on the forehand, the other one is not. And if you, can you please also take the ugly one? You know, the one with the nose.
Oh, is that the ugly
Not
one?
The good, the bad.
Right.
Because then you can see this. Is that on the forehead? No. The one from summer, that is on the forehand.
You can actually, if you hold up your hand just in front of the rider on this image, so you can not see the head and all that stuff, and then can you move to the one with the nose on the
It's the
ground?
horns. That was a good exercise.
That looks much less on the forehand to me. Huh. That was interesting.
Yeah.
Good, bad, ugly, and intelligent.
But let's end with the good one then.
Let's end on a good note.
Yeah.
I'm for this.
Oh, yeah.
Was there more?
I have a question.
You have a
Yeah.
question too.
Yeah. Actually, I have two.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. For a horse that's stiff in the hind, would you recommend training in the kicking out thingy to make them kind of more elastic and powerful in some sort of way? Maybe stretching their hips, I don't know.
It's a very good question. This needs to be addressed actually. We do not train the horse to kick out. It's an important distinction. You allow the horse to kick out sometimes, not often. Don't ask for that a lot. But we don't punish it if you're asked for the horse to sit down, and it is obvious that the horse is trying to sit down, but it's difficult, and he then kicks out. Then that's quite all right. That's not a fault anyone does. So stiff behind can come out of 10,000 different things. There's one that is much more important than most people know of, and that is this. In order to be flexible in the hindquarters, you have to be strong in the hindquarters. This is important. So, if the stiffness is because your horse is thin and weak, then you have to start bending the hind legs and working in the up and downhill sort of thing, right? Or carefully sideways, or careful transitions in speed inside the gate, perhaps. If the horse is fairly strong, then and you feel like the back is not bad at all, then ask the horse to push to sit down a little bit more and maybe push off. Like if you get the horse to sit down, then touch him on the butt to see what happens. If this happens and he kicks out, well, then he kicks out. If this happened and he lifts forward, well, he's not stiff in the hind legs. So I think that's the way you need to think about the question you had. Does that? Yeah, cool. You had another?
Yeah, because you guys know the horse I got from you guys, he scares me to death while I'm riding in the arena. But as opposite as it sounds, taking him outside the arena, hacking, that kind of stuff, feels safe as my other horse. He cannot scare me when we are out hacking.
Does he ever do anything that should have scared you when you were out hacking?
Yeah, he has been quite the challenge sometimes out hacking. But it seems like...
If that's the case, then this sounds like a you problem, not a him problem.
Yeah, but because, in the arena, me trying to do my stuff, he has a lot of issues, and sometimes he gets really unpredictable. And I can ask for the same thing 3 times in a row, and it's fine, he does it. And then suddenly, for the 4th time, everything just goes to explosions.
Okay, this is the butterfly problem. Mm-hmm. So, the horse that you are talking about, he has... is this picture still up, Ivar?
Put it up.
The one that I can see? You up?
Yep.
Brilliant. So, compared to the other trot picture, your horse looks a lot more like this, right?
Definitely.
Very much so.
Yeah, so very round in the neck, kind of straight in the hind legs, even though the pelvis sort of looks like it's a little bit connected, but the back isn't connected. With the particular horse you're talking about, he's struggling in the front end of his back mostly. Which, yeah, so it's where the neck sort of comes into the back, and this thing has become like really, really tight like that. So the angle down here in the bottom of the transition between neck and back is really acute. Yeah, you sit down in that valley. And if he tries in the arena to push off a little bit, and you keep him around, then this will happen. It becomes more and more tight. And it's like you can do it once or twice or 82 times, but not 3 or 83. You see the idea? And it isn't predictable to know how many. Some riders will probably be able to feel it before it happens. That's hard to tell. Some riders are exceptionally good, and that might happen. But this happens to people who are training as well. If you have had an injury, then this sort of, it looks like training is moving progressively forwards, and then kablam, everything falls apart. This is typical. And what you have to do then is to take out everything that pushes on the problem first, and then lift this thing back up. It's really, you know how difficult it is, right? You've been working on it for a long time.
Yeah.
And you also know that.
But it feels like I can also reach that part that you're talking about right
Yes.
now. I can reach that in a much better way when I can take him out on a long straight road, letting him, giving him the space that he needs to really find his rhythm.
That is possible.
And keep on going like that. And
because when you get in the arena, you confine him.
Yeah.
Your aids will confine him more. The arena will confine him more because it's small. And you know, it always turns in the arena. Right?
He's a big horse.
Yeah, and it makes it difficult when the back is dropped like that. So in such a case, do what you find best.
Yeah.
Go
But
out.
don't fall off and die.
I
That's
won't.
never allowed.
But you know, this butterfly effect that we're talking about that happens to especially people and horses that has had injuries. They tend to fall down in that hole, the same hole all the time. And what we need to do is take away all the factors that can make it easier to fall down in that we call the butterfly hole.
So for me to take him out hacking, doing this kind of stuff, can I do that and build capacity
Yes.
to bring into the arena, or am I just making the problem bigger?
No, you're making it smaller.
Probably you're improving because, but you know, in the end, the only thing I can vouch for then is your feeling. If you feel like he gets better, then keep doing it.
You need to keep out of the butterfly hole as much as possible.
Yeah.
Every time you fall into that, you're
Because now
sort of-
I can ride him for like 3 minutes, and it's like he's bubbling under me, and I know, okay, this is gonna explode. I'm
go out.
Yeah, I either climb off the horse, working him in the hand, or taking him
Lunge
to the
or
lunge
something,
or something like that, and then I try maybe for 2 more minutes after half an hour. Is it safe to go up there now? And he might look like he's fine from the ground when I'm working him, and then I can go up. No, I cannot sit on this.
Yep.
So safety is very important. Like active safety. Don't get up on a horse that you're not sure about. It's gonna explode.
Yeah.
There's many other ways to work a horse.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good
so
thinking.
now I think we're about time, aren't we? Yeah, a little overtime actually.
Goodness me. So with all the images, all the questions, and all that, I feel like we've covered yet another piece of the puzzle. How to get the horse collected and all those magnificent things that we dream of.
Yep.
Hopefully the weather will stabilize enough, or the weather will change enough that we get rid of the ice, so we can show you some impulsion
Or straightness or something. Yeah.
or something in the next video. We won't actually know until we have tested the
Because
ground
we're-
and the horses for a while.
Because we're always showing like fresh.
It's the
videos.
newest stuff we've got. Always.
Yeah.
Oh.
These are.
Hello, there's a question.
Yes. Hege Höjby.
Oh,
When the horse stretches but stumbles and doesn't seem to figure out that it has to lift the withers, is it something we can do to help, or does it just have to let it, or do we just have to let it figure it out?
We actually have a video of exactly that, but we didn't have the time to cover it for this stream, and we would like to get back to that in a later stream. When the horse stumbles, it's always because it is not able to lift its withers. So
You can,
Yeah, we can fix it by doing this.
you can, both of these things, stretch the horse in front and try to activate from behind
Yep.
in order to lift the withers.
Then it will help.
Yep. Lift the withers, lift the withers. That's sort of the
But it is difficult, and
mantra
when you
at the moment.
when you're starting to use the stretching exercises, and especially cold-blooded horses, will often stumble at least 1 or 2 times, and then they usually they will realize that it's important to lift yourself up. Some horses have more difficulty learning it, but that is something that we will come back to.
Yep. Cool.
Okay.
I think we're mostly done for today. It's been noted here at our place that the summer clinics are getting very close to full. I think we've got 1 week left.
Yeah,
More or less.
more or less. Yeah.
More or less 1 week. We could also pilfer in some people if stuff them in here and there in the corners, because we have a little bit more capacity in our teaching now than we've had over the last few years. So if you're one of those people, give us a message, and with us, I mean, give her a message.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can send one to me, but I won't answer it because I'm useless. So there's that. Other than that, keep watching this space. We're trying to produce new stuff for you every other week. Thank you very much for joining us tonight as well. Goodbye.
Bye.